My name is Claire Morgan. I am 32 years old, and 6 months ago my parents destroyed my trust forever when they secretly sold my 10-year-old daughter Emma's custom wheelchair while we were away on a weekend trip. Emma was born with a rare muscle condition that made it painful for her to walk long distances. That wheelchair was not just medical equipment for her. It was her freedom, her confidence, and the only reason she could move around independently without feeling different from other kids. My late grandmother Eleanor bought it for Emma 2 years before she passed away. She spent nearly $45,000 designing it perfectly for her. Purple cushions, lightweight frame, custom controls, even tiny butterfly stickers because Emma loved butterflies more than anything. Grandma Eleanor used to kneel beside Emma and say, "This chair gives you wings, sweetheart." Emma believed her. Every single day after school she rolled around the house smiling proudly like she could finally keep up with the rest of the world. But my parents never saw it that way. My mother constantly complained that the wheelchair was too expensive for a child. My sister Rachel used to make comments like, "Some kids don't even have food and Emma gets a luxury wheelchair." I ignored those comments for years because I wanted peace. I kept convincing myself they didn't truly mean those things. Looking back now, I realize people usually show you exactly who they are long before they hurt you. I just refused to see it. 1. Friday in early summer, Emma and I left for a small cabin trip near Gatlinburg, Tennessee. Emma decided to take her smaller backup chair because the cabin paths were narrow, so we left her main wheelchair safely locked inside the guest room at my parents' house in Asheville, North Carolina. My parents offered to watch the house while we were gone. My mother hugged Emma goodbye and promised everything would be safe. Emma even reminded Grandma Eleanor's butterfly sticker was still on the side and told her not to scratch it. My mother laughed and said, "Of course not, honey." 2 days later we returned home tired but happy. Emma rolled into the guest room and suddenly stopped moving. The room was empty. Her wheelchair was gone. At first I thought my parents had moved it somewhere else, but then I noticed marks on the hardwood floor leading toward the front door. Emma looked up at me with panic already forming in her eyes. "Mom, where are my wings?" Before I could answer, my mother walked into the hallway holding a coffee mug like nothing was wrong. She looked completely calm. "Oh sweetheart, we sold it." I honestly thought I misheard her. "What?" She sighed dramatically like I was the problem. Rachel's boys needed new computers and school supplies. That wheelchair was barely being used and honestly it was wasting space. Emma's face turned pale. "You sold my chair?" My father sat silently at the kitchen table staring down at a newspaper while my sister Rachel scrolled through her phone pretending not to listen. I felt something inside me completely break. "That wheelchair belongs to Emma," I said quietly. My mother rolled her eyes. "Claire, stop acting dramatic. She still has that little travel chair. She doesn't need to." Emma started crying softly beside me. Not loud screaming. Just silent tears rolling down her face while she tried to stay brave. That hurt worse than anything. I grabbed our bags and left immediately. During the drive home Emma stayed quiet almost the entire time. Then near the highway exit she whispered, "Mom, did Grandma Eleanor know they would do this?" I had to pull the car over because I suddenly couldn't breathe properly. I promised Emma I would fix everything. What my parents forgot was that Grandma Eleanor had legally protected the wheelchair years earlier. Before she died, she created a disability trust specifically for Emma's medical care and future needs. The wheelchair had been purchased through that protected trust, meaning it legally belonged to Emma and could not be sold without authorization. The next morning I contacted the family attorney, Michael Reed. After reviewing all the documents, he became very serious. He explained that my parents had illegally sold protected medical equipment connected to a disability trust. That was not just unethical. It was fraud. The wheelchair had been sold to a luxury medical resale company in Atlanta for nearly $38,000 because of its custom technology and rare design. 3 days later, Michael and I drove to Atlanta with Emma. When we entered the showroom, Emma immediately spotted her wheelchair near the back wall under bright display lights. She froze completely. Then she slowly rolled toward it in her small backup chair and touched the purple handles with shaking fingers. "Mom, they didn't take the butterflies off." Even the store manager looked uncomfortable after reading the legal paperwork. He admitted he had no idea the chair belonged to a protected trust and immediately agreed to cooperate. Emma hugged that wheelchair like it was a lost pet finally coming home. I nearly cried watching her. But things were only beginning for my parents. Once the trust investigation officially started, financial records connected to the sale were reviewed. The money had already been spent on expensive gaming systems, luxury furniture, and a Disney vacation for Rachel's children. Within days, my parents received formal legal notices demanding repayment. My mother called me 17 times in one night. First she cried. Then she blamed me. Then she accused me of destroying the family over a wheelchair. My father finally left one voicemail admitting he knew the sale was wrong but stayed quiet because he was tired of arguing with my mother after 40 years of marriage. A week later, Rachel decided to continue with her son's huge birthday party anyway. Nearly 25 people filled the house with balloons, music, decorations, and expensive gifts bought using money from Emma's wheelchair sale. That afternoon I arrived with Emma and attorney Michael Reed. The second we walked through the front door, the room became silent. My mother's smile disappeared instantly. Rachel crossed her arms angrily while my father looked physically exhausted. Michael calmly placed the legal documents on the kitchen table and explained in front of everyone that Emma's wheelchair was protected disability trust property illegally sold without consent. Rachel suddenly exploded. "This is insane. You're humiliating us over a stupid wheelchair." Then Emma quietly looked at her aunt and said something nobody in that room will ever forget. "It wasn't stupid. Those were my legs." Complete silence filled the room. Even the children stopped talking. My mother started crying while my father covered his face with both hands. I looked directly at my parents and finally said the truth I had buried for years. "You treated my daughter's disability like an inconvenience because helping her required compassion." Nobody had a response. Within 3 months, my parents were forced to sell their lake house to repay the trust settlement and legal penalties. Rachel returned most of the expensive electronics and canceled their Disney trip. She still refuses to speak to me. My mother has not contacted Emma since that day. But Emma got her wheelchair back. The first evening after we brought it home, she rolled through the neighborhood park smiling so brightly that strangers smiled back at her. Later that night before bed, she touched the butterfly sticker gently and whispered, "Grandma Eleanor brought my wings home again." That moment healed something inside me revenge never could. Sometimes protecting your child means standing against the very people who were supposed to protect you first.